Yo, yo, yo. Hey, guys, welcome back to another awesome edition of the Best Practices Show podcast. My name is Kirk Behrendt, and I'm so pumped. I have the pleasure of learning from the best minds in dentistry and passing along that information to you. And today, we do exactly that with Miranda Beeson, who is an amazing lead practice coach here at Act Dental. And she introduced this thought when she came on board. Without value, there's only price. It's brilliant. You have to listen to this episode. I know you'll enjoy it. And we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. I am so pumped. You keep showing up and keep listening. You know what? Here's the deal. You keep showing up and you keep listening, and I'll keep bringing value, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And I have an amazing coach of ours. Her name is Miranda Beeson. You're going to meet her in just a second. And I'll tell you what we're going to be talking about today. It's without value, there's only price. Miranda is an amazing coach, and she said this, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wrote it down. I've retweeted it. I don't tweet. That's a lie. I've requoted it, shared it over and over again, and we're going to talk about what that is and how it applies to your practice. Miranda, thanks for being here.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to talk about this.
I know. And so you guys will see Miranda is an amazing coach here. She is just so crazy talented. Like when she talks, here's what I'm going to recommend. If you're listening, grab a pen right now. Just grab a pen. It's going to be helpful. And so let's start here. We've got a lot of new listeners, a lot of dental students, young dentists. If no one knows who Miranda Beeson is, give us a little bio. Who are you, Miranda?
Oh, thanks. Well, I have been in the dental profession for over 20 years, and I started as a hygienist. I've transitioned to business team and then transitioned to a practice administrator and then transitioned to coaching. So I'm now a coach with ACT, and I love helping teams to learn best practices, become more efficient, and really build value with their clients so that they can hopefully start to move away from some of those insurance-driven processes that we have, utilize that to its benefits, but build value in the actual care and move away from just talking about the price.
Yeah. And I, for one, as well as everybody else on this team, talk about value. We are so crazy grateful to have Miranda on our team because she just brings value. So you are awesome. You're going to see this. Now, let's talk about this. I want you to tell the story on how, because we got to give credit where credit is due. And then we're going to talk about where did you first hear this statement?
I love that. And yes, I want to give credit where credit is due. So this was not my original thought, but we talked all the time, a practice that I used to work with often. And one of the team members said, without value, there's only price. And it stopped me in my tracks. Just the way that she said it was so eloquent and perfect that we stopped in that moment. And we're like, write that down. And we said, we're going to frame this. We're going to hang it on the wall. We're going to look at it every day when we come into the office, because patients get hung up on price all the time. And this was a treatment coordinator who made this statement. And it's something that you battle as an objection when you're at the front office all the time. So when you take the price off the table and you look at, did we build the value we needed to build from the phone call in the back, throughout the whole process, then price isn't really the problem anymore. So then we can look at, is there still an objection? And if so, how can we take care of that? Because it's not price if we've built the value.
Love it.
So I give her all the credit. It was a great concept, and I use it to this day.
Yeah, and we're going to break this down and how this works in your practice. And what you've said is better than what I've always heard. I've heard this in the past. When the price is too high, the value's too low. Or when the value's too high, or the value's high, the price is low. And so you can look at it this different ways. Whatever phrase makes the most sense to you, use it. I like yours the best because it just speaks to it. So let's go through the practice. If I'm a dental professional, either a dentist or a team member, how does this apply to my practice? Where's the first place it comes into your brain?
Yeah. So to me, the first place is your very first hello over the phone. So, we talk all the time about dentistry is sales, whether we want to call it sales or not, it is sales in its own way. And so there's a buying cycle, right? So it starts with that awareness that the patient has at home. And then that first transition into consideration is when they call us. So the first opportunity we have to start building value with a patient is when we say hello on the phone. And then where do we take it from there? So it's probably the most important piece of where we start building value. Are we affirming the patient calling us? And are we validating that we're the right fit and having a really relational conversation with that patient on the phone versus just your transactional, what's your insurance? Give me your phone number. When can you come in?
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you're saying. And we'll just go back to that for a second. Like the person that answers your phone, she doesn't represent or she or he doesn't represent you. They are your business, And my hope is that if I call your office, I hope the person that answers your phone is so good that I go, this is going to be crazy expensive, because she's good. You as a dentist should be getting this compliment. Like a patient should come in and go, you should give her a raise. Like, I'm here and I know this is going to be expensive. And so what that means to you as a team member or anybody who answers the phone, it's called value interpretation. I want to let you know why our practice is different. And I want you to know that you called the right place today. And let me share with you why you called the right place. And let me share with you the amazing people I'm going to introduce you. I am going to introduce you to an amazing dentist, but she's an even better human being. Or I'm going to hand you off to one of our expert hygienists. You like this? I've been doing this a long time. I can go for hours and hours and hours. And Miranda, you already know the story. I was a 3-time employee of the month at Applebee's. Ha ha, take that. You guys have been listening to this podcast. You're like, I'm tired of hearing about Applebee's. Hey, I knew Bourbon Streak Steak and Oreo Shake before it was popular. Okay, so listen, here's the bottom line. You might be thinking, well, I didn't like Applebee's. Well, that's fine. That's not my point. The point is that through verbal skills, I could create enough value that you would want a bourbon, because I knew I could deliver on it. And an Oreo shake. Those were hard to make, but look at now I'm a rapper. Those are. But the point is this, is that through your verbal skills, and if number one, you got to believe it. And then you've got to do that verbally, because I guess this is where I'm going. Miranda, we don't need a CBCT to create value. Would you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly. And I love what you just said, is it's all about the way that it's shared through the words. So you have to be really intentional with that and building that value. And sometimes it's like we talk all the time about right person, right seat. You have to make sure that the person that's answering the phone can deliver this level of value to your team. I'm with you. I want someone to walk in the door, and when they walk in, if I'm that person who answered the phone, I want them to feel like they're greeting a friend. They were looking forward to coming in to seeing me. And if they share with me something on the phone that's important to them or valuable, then I need to hear that. I need to bank it. And then I need to turn that back around and let them know, like, you have chosen the right place. This is how other patients with similar experiences have benefited here. Give them a testimonial. Do that kind of social proofing. Let them know, like, you're not the only one and we're here for you. And it is all about the words. And I bet you could upsell anyone when you were working at Applebee's.
Oh, but and the thing was, it wasn't about selling them. Like, I wanted to make people happy. Yeah. So it wasn't about like, let me get a few more Bahama Mamas like out tonight, because those were $3.50 a pop, and they were actually really good drinks. I also knew that, look at that. I'm gonna digress for it. Bacon cheese chicken grill was always a home run. The riblets. You guys just stay with me on this journey. But I knew you knew
they'd have a better experience,
right?
If you helped them through it.
Right. And I'm going to take my entire team to my favorite restaurant here in Milwaukee, and you guys can come too. It's called Lake Park Bistro. When you sit down, those servers are so good at helping you understand what you're going to order that your mouth waters while they're talking. You're like, and when the bill comes, you're like, wow, that was amazing. And I don't even care that I paid that much for a tiny little salad, because it was that good. So the point is number one, you got to believe in what you're doing. Now, because Miranda, we got to be careful. This is going to be a 2-hour podcast because you're talking my jam now. The thing that I would want everybody listening, if you're listening, Like, you got to understand, number one, money spent on dentistry is one of the best investments a human being can make. I think you got to start there. So when you're working the front desk, or you're working chairside, or you're working hygiene, or you're a dentist, you got to believe what you do is crazy valuable. That's the first place to start. If you think you're overcharging people and nobody wants dentistry, nothing we're going to say in this podcast is going to help you. You're going to be stuck forever there. And so I think you got to come with the heart of we're value. Like, what we do is valuable. We help people. And it goes with education. It goes, and actually I have Bill and Doneen's new book on my desk. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Is so timely. Look at it. I just got it. Rachel Wall, thank you so much. Healthy Heart, Healthy Brain. You guys, if you guys read Beat the Heart Attack Gene or Healthy Heart, Healthy Brain, the first thing you're going to think is, wow, what goes on in people's mouths really does affect the rest of their body, which implies we're the gatekeepers of something special here. And so now I'm getting off on a tangent. But the point is...
No, I agree. And actually, another great thing that I think works really well to help team members, especially if they're new to your team, maybe they've worked in another office, or maybe they came from veterinary world or something of that nature. Help them to understand the value of what you do. Share patient experiences. Maybe present a case to your team at a team meeting, all the way from how that patient felt, what their confidence level was before they came in, what were they looking to achieve, and then what did they get to through the dentistry, because the dentistry and the quality of that is incredibly important. But how did you impact that person's life with that dentistry, their health, their family, their appearance, their confidence, whatever it may have been, because that's where the value really comes from. Because it's hard for team members who look at a large treatment case and they say, like, gosh, it would be hard for me to approach that treatment case and take care of that investment. And they start to relate to the patient, and they start to pass some of that bias on when they're delivering or talking about the care. But if they can truly see and understand, they're not in that hopeless place that the patient's in. But if they can see that case study, if you can share with them, this is how we're able to help people here, the value is going to build within your team members, and it will just exude from them naturally once they fully understand what you're capable of doing in the office.
Bam. Drop the mic, you guys, because that's worth the visit today to this. Now, Miranda, there's other things. Like, you bring so much value. You taught us the so that concept. So can you just add that as a layer? So if you're listening, you might be like, okay, that's great, but how do I do this? Use the so that concept. Yeah. Share that.
So that is one of my favorite things. And honestly, I use it at home too. And I'll give you this easy, and then we'll turn it into dentistry. Whenever my kids want to borrow my phone, if anyone has kids, you know this. Can I use your phone? Can I use your phone? So I've even conditioned my kids to say, so that I can look up such and such, can I borrow your phone? So in the office, it's a great way to build value. And so many patients walk through the door, obviously nervous. That's probably one of the biggest things. People have a fear or a nervousness, or they may have a conditioned bias too. I know they're just going to try to sell me x-rays. I know they're just going to try to sell me that fluoride. So if you can lead with why, and that's really what so that provides you. If your mind is conditioned to lead with so that every single time, so that we can see the areas of your mouth that we can't see just by looking with our eyes to make sure they're healthy, we'd like to update your radiographs today, so that we can protect those exposed root surfaces. And I know you shared with me you have some sensitivity. We'd love to help you with that. We'd like to apply a fluoride varnish for you. That can apply in any aspect. It can apply with a crown. It can apply with their treatment plan itself, so that we can make sure we don't have any unexpected surprises throughout this process. I'd like to really look at this plan with you and make sure you understand where your investment's going. So it takes that and it flips everything around to where the patient's brain is moving forward with you, and then you can put out the information versus them objecting as soon as they hear you say, you're due for x-rays today.
Yeah. You're due. Yeah. And so in all fairness to team members, I'll have your back for a second. Team members are not trained on how to do this. They're just kind of thrown into it. We joke that team members aren't onboarded, they're waterboarded. They just don't they don't get good verbal skills training. And I think the important piece here of being a healthcare provider and creating a situation where you're creating lots of value so that when you present the fee, people go, yes, is they've got to be trained with the thinking and those tools. I want to ask you about this because you've had the experience of working everywhere in the office. Let's go back clinically a little bit more. So this isn't just for the person answering the phone. this is for other departments. Take us in the back. How does this work back there?
Absolutely. So I will say this, having been in both, it was a huge eye opener because you would be in the hygiene chair and working with a patient and you feel like they're on board, and then they'd leave and you'd see they didn't schedule. And then you'd go talk to your business team coordinator, your treatment coordinator, and they'd say, oh, they were a little overwhelmed, with how much it was. They weren't ready to invest. And you're like, what? They were so ready in the back. So part of it is developing the value in the back, using, co-discovery is a word that gets used a lot in dentistry now, but it's very helpful. Photography, having the image up. And the biggest thing is creating the space when you're in the clinical world for the patient to share with you what they're thinking and feeling about what you're seeing. For them to drive that conversation and let you know, are they motivated? Do they have questions? I love, as a hygienist, to have a photo up. Oh, I need to just get myself ready over here. I'm going to grab some things, and you just leave it, in front of the patient. It's that large molar with the cracked old amalgam and all the things going on that is really best served with a crown, but they're going to hear crown and they're going to think dollar signs. So if you can have that image up, allow the space for them to just say, is that my tooth?
Yeah.
And then you can say, actually it is. What are your thoughts on that? And then open the door for them to start telling you what they see and how they feel. And you'll be surprised how you can extend that conversation. Just tell me more. Oh, you know what? I had a tooth that broke a couple years ago and I was about to head to Italy for 2 weeks. It was the worst. Oh gosh, that must have been so challenging. Tell me more about how that impacted you.
Yeah.
And just keep building that value. But the big key is then you have to pass that to your business team. Yeah. So, we call them pit stops. Some people call them handoffs. It's hand in hand. But you have to not just share what we need to do next when you get up front, but why. Like, why does it matter? What's in it for me is all the patient wants to know. So it's just as important to say what we did today, what we're doing next time, is why are we doing that next time, and how is it going to benefit Mrs. Jones?
Yeah, I love that. So go back to that. So I'm going to throw you a couple of things that I learned early on. Like I heard one of my mentors say, you're going to sell more dentistry with your ears than your mouth.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Yes.
I love that. And then the other one I heard, and you've heard this one too, we actually, as dental care providers, should take the word need out of our vocabulary completely, because there isn't a single thing your patients need. They don't need teeth. They've actually demonstrated they don't even need teeth. They can eat chicken on a bone with no teeth, and they can actually live a long life. Like, so it's so couple those two together. Like, am I accurate in throwing those two into the conversation here?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I love the way you worded that the first time, because I'll often say, just talk less and listen more. If you're doing most of the talking during your OHI, during your co-discovery, you're doing it wrong. It really should be ask a question, open the space for the patient, and then have them talk as much as possible, because they're going to give you their motivators. They're going to give you their values, and then they'll let you know if they have a desire for this, if they feel like they have a need for this. Motivational interviewing. I love incorporating motivational interviewing in the hygiene world. You can do it restoratively as well. You can really even do it on the business team. But as a hygienist, opening the conversation to change behavior, listening for that change talk when your patient has the opportunity to speak. What do you desire? What do you need? They say, oh, I really should. Oh, I wish I could. I really want to, whatever it may be. Those are words that are telling you it doesn't matter if they need it. They want it. They wish they could. They should. It's not about us just dumping our agenda and information on our patients. And some of that's time. We get a little crunched and we kind of revert to that. But it's more about opening that communication and letting the patient out there. Now, yes, I'm with you. For us to say you should, you need, you would, some patients will resist even more because, like, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Right.
So you have to be really careful and work with the person. It's a person in the chair. It's not just a set of teeth.
Yeah. And you coach a lot of great dentists. You've also worked for a lot of great dentists. Let's talk about the value. Without value, there's only price in a dentist's brain. Anything come to mind when you observe some of the best at this and some of the worst at this? What separates those two?
Oh, that's such a great question. And I agree. I've worked with and still do a lot of great dentists. And I feel like there's like extremes on both sides. if you look at the worst of it could be that they are too agenda driven, too price driven. They're just trying to build profit and not really looking at the bigger picture. And I think you can have worst case scenario be on the exact opposite end of that too, where they're too empathetic and biased and they're not putting enough value on their work. They're doing a lot of gimmies, or we're just going to patch that up for now because I know it's going to be expensive, and they're trying to be nice, but nice isn't always being nice because it may not be what's most appropriate, or at least even giving the patient the option to decide. Right. So I think those would be the worst case scenarios from the dentist side, and they come from both extremes. Best case scenario is when a dentist really values and has confidence in what they're doing. They've invested in their education and their skills and their equipment and their team. And they also care very deeply, not only about that person, but about the outcome that they're delivering.
Yeah, I love that. We'll go back to that. So we'll go back that way. So I'm going to pretend to be a 32-year-old dentist. I'm listening. Miranda, you're going to coach me. I got my team with me. You're coming in. We're going to do the ACT Pro coaching program. So Miranda, I went to all this education. I raised my fees, and patient after patient says I'm too expensive. Where do we start? What do we do as a team? Is it a me thing? Is it a us thing? Where do we start? Help me with a treatment plan.
Yeah, I think in a dental office, it's really always a team thing. There's no individual players. Every single person in every single department works together. And it's just an evolving, it's like a cog in a wheel. It's the inner workings of a watch, right? There's that center spoke, but every piece that revolves around it is important. So if you're having patients, if you're a dentist who's 32 and trying to figure all this out, and the main objection that keeps coming up and why people aren't accepting is it's just too expensive, I think the whole team needs to work together on how do we orchestrate and collaborate our conversations so that we're speaking the same message, so that we're standardized in how we care about people. What is our philosophy? What are our core values?
Right.
Are we implementing those and living them every single day? Working together departmentally as well as a whole to make sure that if Jane, our hygienist, is going to build value in a certain way, then when Joey up front helps take care of that, they're good to go. And then when that patient says, okay, but they're still a little skeptical, they come in for the treatment and now they're with the assistant and the doctor, you don't stop building value at signing the treatment plan. When they come in for the care, we're saying, I'm so excited that you're here and that you agreed and trust in us to take care of this today. I know this is going to help you because you shared with us you don't want another tooth to break before you go on vacation. I'm so excited to help you with it today. And please let me know if at any point throughout this process you have any questions. You're just continuing to build value. And it's not even in what you're doing. It's not in that crown. It's in the whole experience of being in the practice with every person you interact with.
Yeah, I love that. And the continuity is really one of the key pieces. I want to go back to what you said is it's easy when you have 3 team members or 4, and then you have 8. Then you have 12, and you realize we're not all saying the same thing. So we'll give you some helpful advice today. What Miranda's saying is exactly true. One of the easiest things you can do to get you on the journey to collectively provide more value is to write down, take some 3x5 cards, pull them out and pick out the top 10 procedures you do in your practice. And on the back, do the so that. List out 3 benefits to this procedure. One of them might be placing implants, and I'll get you started. An implant's not a screw. It's not a screw. It's not. It's bigger than a screw. The benefit is that we're going to retain the shape of the gorgeous face that you have. It's got to be bigger than the actual screw itself that goes into your jaw, type of a thing. And now what's really cool is if I'm a dental assistant or a hygienist, and we've been calibrating on this for months and months and months and years, and we now have our treatment cards with the benefits on the back. We can all talk the same language. I might not even know what an implant is or how it works, but by the fact that I start this journey, I actually can start, helping patients and say, listen, I truly don't know how this all works, but I'm going to hand you off to the doctor, and I will tell you this. It's going to retain the shape of that gorgeous face. And so I don't have to know how it works. I just know how to have to create some value. And then I'm going to hand it to the person who knows the details. So I think it's really important, People always say this, my team is so important to me. My team is, well, what do you do that supports what you just said? Like, how many times do you sit down and work with a great coach and get calibrated? Because I'm promising you, the more you do this, the more you can create value. And the more that people will see, wow, there's a lot of confidence coming from you. And I think you have my best interest at heart, so.
And Kirk, one thing I hear dentists say often, when we work in coaching, like you'll hear every now and then, I have someone that when I'm over listening now and then, I overhear what they're saying. I'm kind of like, oh, I probably wouldn't have said it like that. Well, it's like, have you shared that with your team? Have you shared how you would like information to be communicated with patients in the office? It's something that has to be, you have to create a system around it. I love your idea of putting the "so that" on the back of the cards. And then you have a new team member that comes on. You don't have to worry, are they going to be able to do what we do? Are they going to be able to say what we say? You give them the cards.
Yeah.
And now they just jump right into this consistent messaging that the patients are experiencing throughout that value driving process. I love that.
Yeah. Look, I'm full of ideas. I'm full of a lot of stuff. But like, one of the cool things, I got these core value cards. What if you in your office had this deck of cards? It's 52 cards. It's our core values on the back. It's our top 10 procedures. It's our hours. It's why we do. What if they actually were given a deck of cards like this on the 52 things you need to know about working here, and we tested them out, and at any time we go, okay, pull this one out, and improve the cards. Wow, we're on to something now. I guarantee you, your 52 deck of cards, and you could go, whoa, there's 52 cards in a deck. There's 52 weeks in a year. We could improve. Whoa. Now we're creating value. Okay. I love this stuff. Like, here's another thing. When you're an idea person, surround yourself with other people that are doers and great follow through. So I'm going to give Miranda this project, Dad. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's go.
Let's go. The whole point is this: find a way, a system, so that you're collectively working on the value thing again. Because I'll say it again. You know what, Miranda? We're going to get t-shirts made. Without value, there's only price. I love it. So I have so many thoughts and so many questions on this, but I want to kind of bring this home and give people a few more things to do and then share some last thoughts. What are some things, last actionable items you would give anybody listening to? Here's something you could do next week to possibly add a little bit more value so that price isn't the biggest consideration. Anything else come to mind?
What I'll say is probably nothing new, but let's just recap. So front office, well, here we go. If you're in the front office and you're getting stuck on price with a patient, more than likely the value wasn't there. So a quick, easy question is just, I can hear where you're coming from. Most of our patients who still want to think about it, share with us that maybe there's more clinical information you'd like to know about this procedure before moving forward. Would you like to have an opportunity to speak with your hygienist about this a little bit further, or speak with the doctor about this a little bit further? Because they may be afraid to open up to you that they really just didn't understand what or why they needed. So give them that opening to share that true objection. It may not be, and actually a lot of times it's not actually the cost. There's something else around it. So open that up. Is it something clinical or is it truly financial? Because I can help you with both while you're here. You don't have to go home to think about it. And now you don't have to hunt that patient down, right?
Yeah.
And from the clinical side, I say lean into photography, whether it be extraoral or intraoral, and then creating that space, just the power of the pause. Actually, count in your head. Give it 5 seconds after you pull it up and ask them, tell me what you think about this picture. And then just stop and don't close that silence. It's going to feel a little awkward, but just live in it for a minute, count in your mind, and then they will fill that silence with some very valuable information that's going to help you help them.
Miranda, that's brilliant. And any dentist listening to this right now is freaking out because dentists hate spaces. They hate spaces in conversation. They hate spaces in schedule. They hate spaces in teeth. Like, you got to love the space. Just let the space happen. Now, I want to just piggyback on what you just said because it's a very important thing, going back to that, is when you hit an objection. So when you run into this situation where it's the price that's getting in the way, don't just say, okay, and lower the price. Instead, ask a question, because in this moment, there is learning. So a patient might say, well, this is too expensive. Well, tell me what's too expensive about it, or what's holding you back, or is there something we didn't do that would describe it? Now, I'm not promising you that they're just going to say yes, but in that moment, you'll learn. And some of the things that you'll learn are powerful. Here's one that I've heard. I heard a dentist, somebody asked this in a dental practice, and the patient said, well, I only saw him for like this much time. I mean, that is like a couple $1,000s a minute. And they don't understand. Like, what a great thing to go work on in the next couple of months so we don't run into this. And so what they did, this is so cool. They put a campaign together in their new patient process to describe direct and indirect patient time. One of the things you'll notice, you're going to see our doctor for this amount of time. What you'll also see is I'm going to take you to the laboratory. This is where our dentist does indirect time. So you might only see the dentist for an hour, but I can assure you the dentist will be back here. We are also going to send it to the lab. We also mount these. So now as a patient, I'm starting to understand, wow, this isn't just, you're not just charging me per minute, like an attorney or something like that. This is, we're actually working towards an outcome. Now, that's kind of a big example, but my point is this. In these moments, there's great learning. So when you're hitting objections, think to yourself, and it's what Miranda said at the beginning, let's add some value to this. I'm telling you guys, the more you push the value button, the less you're going to hear about the price. Would you agree with that, Miranda?
I agree wholeheartedly. Objections are a gift. They're a gift and an opportunity for you to build that value and figure out where is that little missing piece of value and how can we help this patient to get there.
You are brilliant, and that's our next podcast. You're dropping like gems. What'd you say? Objections are a gift. Oh, that's the next podcast we're doing. So good stuff. Miranda, this is awesome. Any last thoughts you have on without value, there's only price?
I mean, my only last thoughts are just remember patients are going to want to know what's in it for them. In the end, that's speak to that. And also you can do this. It may be different from how you're practicing now. And you may be thinking, oh, I can't get my team on board with this, or like, I don't even know where to start. Well, first of all, coaching can help. But aside from that, you can do it. Anybody can do it. It's just intentional. And you have to really put your mind to it, set a plan for it, be deliberate about making this change within your practice. And you'll start to see the patients. You'll start to see them showing up in the schedule, the ones that you weren't sure were going to be there, because your team will know. You'll all be speaking that same message, and it'll happen for you. You can do it.
Amen. I love that. You totally can do it. And if you're not doing it, don't stay stuck. That's what I would say. Like, reach out. We're here to help you. Being stuck is the worst. Don't stay stuck. Like, get unstuck, whether it be a coach, whether it be a mentor, whether it be a course. Heck, come to an event that we do. We'll get you unstuck mentally, and then from a system standpoint, and then you're not stuck anymore. And now you're enjoying this thing called progress. So keep pushing the value button. So Miranda, thank you so much for being on. I've absolutely enjoyed this. This is awesome.
Thank you. I love being here. I'll come back anytime.
Yeah. So this is Miranda's first appearance. So I'm like, this is going to be the easiest thing you do all day. And she's like, oh yeah, right. I already know you. You're crazy. And I go all over the place. So it's all great. So good stuff. Love it. So stick around, Miranda, while we say goodbye to everybody else. But thank you guys for listening to the Best Practices Show. Hey, if you enjoyed today, do us a favor, hit the share button. Here, share this with your friends. We love connecting with people just like you because we love this profession. We're going to keep bringing more and more value. We're going to push the value button. You like that? Just keep pushing the value because we want you to enjoy going to work. We want you to have a better practice and a better life. This profession is an amazing profession. It's a very noble profession. And so if you don't like it, it's typically not the profession itself. It's how you do the profession. You can control your hours. You can control what happens. You can make it what you want it. So Miranda's right. You can do this. So we're here to help you every step of the way. Keep showing up to the podcast. Join us for some events. Whatever you need, we got your back. Keep showing up. So until we see you guys next time or we hear from you guys next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy your day.